type of narcissistic you will encounter in your life. People seem to be fascinated with the concept of narcissism. Perhaps it's because we are all a little bit narcissistic or know someone else who is. But before you jump to label someone a narcissist, consider that there are actually different types of narcissism. While they all maintain the core characteristic of narcissism, like entitlement, lack of empathy, and need for control, they are displayed through different behaviors and vary in degree of severity and danger. While a person can be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, there is no clinical diagnosis for any subtypes of narcissism. Some types of narcissism have been identified and validated by peer-reviewed research. Various other types have been informally named and popularized by various mental health professionals. Thus, there is no concrete number of narcissistic subtypes. Clinical psychologist and Harvard lecturer Craig Malkin, PhD, thinks of narcissism as a trait or pervasive human tendency which exists on a spectrum. Though the subtypes can't be clinically diagnosed, psychologist Perpetua News says mental health clinicians can generally see patterns. So here they are, 4 types of narcissism recognized by experts. Number 1. Somatic narcissism. Somatic narcissism is a documented psychological disorder in which a person becomes obsessed with his or her beauty, personality, and sex appeal. Basically, all the outward features that make a person attractive. The disorder usually involves more than a simple fixation on these physical details, though. Somatic means related to the body. So somatic narcissism involves being very preoccupied or obsessed with one's physical appearance and sexual attractiveness. The person will probably overvalue and spend a lot of time and money on appearance. Somatic narcissists derive their self-worth from their bodies. Psychotherapist Kristen Scott Hudson LMFT writes, this may manifest as someone feeling more beautiful, stronger, or fitter than others. Somatic narcissists often obsess over their weight and physical appearance and criticize others based on their appearance. They usually ignore the needs of others and prioritize their own. If you are dealing with one, Scott Hudson said, avoid displaying emotional response to their behavior because narcissists feed off drama. Somatic narcissists get their narcissistic supply by applying their bodies. They flaunt their bodies, flex their muscle, brag about the number of times other people hit on them. You get the idea? Similar to romantic relationship, in friendship, if that is even the word, narcissists idealize their victims in the beginning by flattering and complimenting them. Once the victim is hooked, the narcissist will subject them to covert abuse in the form of put-downs and backhanded compliments. Like you look good for your age, or they will say, I love how you don't care how you come across. Or maybe they use the word like, you look so different without makeup. Or maybe, you look so great, I didn't even recognize you. You look great on Facebook or Instagram. The game narcissists play can only run for so long, and this is especially true when it comes to the somatic type. Eventually, somatic narcissists age and lose their beauty, strength, and sexual appeal. Number 2. Grandiose narcissism. A substantial body of research has documented that grandiose narcissists are characterized by high self, a sense of personal superiority and entitlement, overconfidence, a willingness to exploit others for self-gain, and hostility and aggressions when challenged. Grandiose narcissism closely resembles the broader understanding of what makes a narcissist. In psychology, grandiosity refers to having an unrealistic sense of superiority. Grandiose narcissism thus involves overestimating one's abilities, asserting one's dominance over others, and having a generally inflated sense of self-esteem. This type of narcissism has been tested and validated through peer-reviewed research, often in opposition to vulnerable narcissism, and also known as covert narcissism. Neil said that grandiose narcissism is when someone's narcissistic qualities like entitlement, braggadocio, and self-obsession are openly displayed, often at the expense of others. Grandiose narcissists can be charming but often lack of empathy. In conversation, they don't relate to people, but rather one-up them. This might be because they crave attention, enjoy seeing others hurt and confused, or both. When dealing with grandiose narcissists, or any type of narcissist for that matter, it's important to set boundaries. Now you can be graceful and assertive at the same time. They will push your boundaries, eroding them so a lower level of treatment becomes the new normal. Be prepared to enforce your boundaries. Even better, walk away. So how do you spot a grandiose narcissist? The grandiose sense of self-importance. They are lives in a fantasy world that support their delusions of grandiose. They need constant praise and admirations. They have a sense of entitlement. They also exploit others without guilt or shame. They are also frequently the means, intimidates, bullies, or belittles others. Number 3. Vulnerable narcissism is also known as covert narcissism. Covert narcissism is also called vulnerable narcissism. In opposition to the grandiose narcissists, these people tend to be shy and self-effacing. According to the American Journal of Psychiatry, the covert sometimes inhibited, manifestly distressed, hypersensitive to the evaluations of others while chronically envious. They crave people recognitions and get very defensive in the face of criticism. According to Malkin, covert narcissists are often objectively miserable and believe that suffering is worse than anyone else. Yes, they have been hurt before, but it's not your duty to rescue them or save them. That's a boundaries too. So what is a sign of a covert narcissist? High sensitivity to criticism. NPD typically involved insecurity and easily damaged sense of self-esteem. They also passive aggressions. They have a tendency to put themselves down. They are a shy or withdrawn nature. They have grandiose fantasies. Their feelings of depression, anxiety, and emptiness. They also have a tendency to hold grudge. People with covert narcissism may have a parent who displays similar traits, abuse them as a child, or both. Psychologists do not understand yet why some people develop covert NPD rather than overt NPD. And also, there are a common process used by covert narcissists, like, "It's not a big deal, it is your fault, I was just joking, don't get upset for nothing, you are imagining things, don't be so sensitive, why so defensive all the time?" Or maybe they can use words like, "I didn't say that." As predicted, overt narcissists report greater happiness and higher self-esteem, whereas covert narcissists reported diminished happiness and lower self-esteem. These results are consistent with the notion that overt narcissists enjoy some psychological benefit that covert narcissists do not enjoy. Covert narcissists have narcissistic personality disorder, but they hide many of the typical signs and symptoms of grandiose or overt narcissists. They may appear to be shy and modest, but inside they are chronically envious of others, can't handle criticism, and lack empathy for others. People with covert narcissism will accusing and projecting. One tactic they may use is to shift attention from themselves to you, blaming you for toxic behavior without acknowledging or addressing their own. Gossiping and slandering. Since narcissists have fragile egos, disagreeing with them can make them perceive you as being unfair or unreasonable. So how to deal with this kind? Or maybe you can use words like, you are certainly entitled to your opinion. We can agree to disagree. We will work on this together, or let me ask your advice on this. Number 4. Spiritual narcissists. The belief that your spiritual wisdoms make you more special than others is also known as a spiritual narcissism. It can be used to shield yourself from criticism, to impress others, or to enhance your self-esteem and feel good about yourself. Spiritual narcissists often use their spirituality to justify harmful behavior and use spiritual jargon to intimidate others. So what is toxic spirituality? All that they have become is someone filled with a lot of poisonous garbage in the name of spirituality. In a broader sense, any aspect of spirituality that is used to blame or shame or guilt you into feeling bad or worse about yourself is toxic. Young people or people who have experienced significant upheaval, like a move or a divorce, are more vulnerable to the spiritual narcissist. Captivating, dynamic influence. If someone you know uses their spirituality as a tool to manipulate or belittle you, separate from them. Even though they are so cemented and dogmatic in their belief, you'd be surprised at how much they don't practice what they preach. Spiritual narcissists will go above and beyond to criticize you and your beliefs. But when it comes to their own, they are never in the wrong. For example, your spiritual narcissist friend talks about how much one should be uplifted and help in their spiritual journey. Yet you notice that when they are around people who are beginning their spiritual journey, the narcissist is quick to look down on them and even make them feel bad for not doing more than they already are. So how to deal with this narcissism? Using spirituality to deal with a narcissistic. Practice self-compassion and love yourself. If you are a spiritual person, you may believe in practicing compassion for everyone, even people that have hurt you. Consciously or not, someone with envy may take advantage of your empathy and kindness. So what is the bottom line? Narcissism exists on a spectrum, and there are many different types of narcissism. Some that are more worrying than others. If you're dealing with someone you suspect might have narcissistic personality disorder. If you are dealing with someone you suspect might have narcissistic personality disorder, the best thing to do to protect yourself is to set strong boundaries and ideally walk away from the relationship altogether.